Okay. The last thing we need to do is we need to make sure all our chairs, we have all our chairs. Okay. Now, this is just to finish the scene. Okay. Normally, I would texture all the pieces separately, but right now I want you guys to be able to turn in a full scene for me. So anything else you guys like to model, feel free to do so. If you'd like to model a plant or something in the corner, or model something else that would fit the scene, that would be great. But let's just focus right now on what we need to turn in. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to marquee select everything that is the chair. And notice it selects everything. And we're not in object mode, so we need to go up here, click on object mode. And I know the funny thing is with this whole scene is that if I select, it selects everything I touch with this. So what you can do is with selection, what you can do is you can hold the control key down and deselect anything else you don't want to be selected. So control is deselecting, allows you to take away from your selection. Shift lets you add to your selection. So if I hold down shift, click something, it'll add to it. Hold the control key, does the same thing. It will take away what you want to take away. Okay, and that's the control key. All right, so with that chair selected, I'm going to combine it. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the space bar, go to mesh, and go to combine. Now that object is combined, we have a lot of history here, which we need to get rid of. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to go up under poly modeling and click on delete history. That's what that looks like. You can also do modify. Wait a minute, we can do edit, delete by type history. And it's a lot longer than just clicking on an icon, right? So edit, delete by type history. I can do that. I can also just click on that icon here. Okay, that's great. So now the object is one object, which makes it a lot easier to select. I can do the same thing with the table, okay? Meaning that I'll select the, hold down the shift key and select all the legs, like that. Now I don't necessarily need to combine the table right now. I could. If I wanted to send it to a game engine, I would as one object, but I'm going to keep it separate right now, okay? All right. Now you're asking yourself, well, you know, you've got all of these loops and edge loops here that are all over the place that are actually taking more polygons from the scene. And you're right, it is, because the floor could be separated from the walls, and we'd be able to get rid of those edge loops. And that's a good thing we need to get rid of. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. Let's get the chairs all done. So I'm going to go to the top view, and I am just going to go and do Control D and hit W and move that chair over to complete my scene. And then I'm going to do Control D and move that over. And then, of course, hit the E key and rotate that. And then in rotate Y, I'm going to type in -180. So -180 and hit enter. Okay. And then hit the W key, do Control D, and move it down to where it needs to be. Okay. Let's go back to the scene, and now our scene is done. We just need to kind of clean up the floor. Okay. So to do that, in gaming or doing a low poly, you have to separate the floor. How do you do that? Because I extruded the floor, and we want to make sure the walls are also separated from each other. All right, so to do that, all we have to do is right click and go to face. Okay, and then basically from the top view, we just kind of select on the inside like this, not touching the walls. Okay, we don't want to touch any of the walls, right? And then we're going to extract this. So I'm going to go hold down the space bar and go to mesh, and mesh is not, extract is not in there. Let's go to edit mesh, and extract is close to the bottom. So edit mesh, extract is close to the bottom. There we go. It looks like you didn't do anything, but click off. Okay, and then I want you to select, go to selection mode, and there it is. It's all by itself, and you can hit the W key and move it down. But I don't want to move down. I want to go ahead and just do a Control Z back. That's undo. And now we need to separate the walls. They both need to be separated. The reason why I extrude the walls is because I don't have to worry about gaps now. Meaning that if I were to take a plane and put them together, you're always going to have a microscopic gap. But if you extrude the walls up and then extract them later, they're basically, there's no gaps, and there will not be gaps in those. So that's kind of a trick I've learned over the years. So I'm going to go ahead and select all these, okay? And we just have to do this once. We can hit the G key again, I think. I don't know. It didn't work. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Don't worry. So now we're going to go in here. I'm going to do this again just to make sure. There we go. And go to edit mesh and extract again. Okay. So I'm going to go to selection mode, click off, and now all these are separated. Okay. The only thing is I've got to go into selection mode, and also I have to go in here to click on select by object type, so I can go in here. There we go. So now everything is separated. Okay, you are done. Okay, so for cleanup, okay, we got the extraction done. Let's do something that I've showed you before. Let's isolate just that object. Let's go to Control 1. Okay. And now we can just clean this totally up. I'll show you how to do that. So I want you to double click on and hold down the shift key on all the edges. Okay. And this shouldn't take too long. Just double click on all those, holding down the shift key. And the last two, take your time. And then what you want to do is do a control, hold down the control key and then the delete key. Okay, control and then the delete key. What that does, okay, that not only deletes the edges, but it deletes the vertices as well. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Okay, so when I go Control Z back, okay, so if I just hit delete, okay, it looks like it does the job. But if I right click over this and go to vertex mode, you can see I've got vertices all along here. Okay, and if you hear me talking about floating vertices, that's what I mean. That means that there are vertices that aren't connected by edge loops. Okay, those are called floating vertices. And if you don't see them, I just marquee select them, and they're all over the place. They're there because we forgot to do Control Delete, holding down the Control. Control deletes the vertices and the edges at the same time. Let me show you again. So now we're going to do it. So let's go back to edges. I'm going to do Control Delete. And now if I go back here to vertex, if I highlight this, it only shows me the vertices I really need to have, which is controlling those edges on the outside. Okay, so now we've made it a lot more low poly friendly because I don't have all those edge loops. Now, honestly, if I were to take this, it would have went in the game engine just fine the other way. But let's do Control 1, get that everything back. But that looks a lot cleaner. Okay. Also, when you're doing game work, if you're really getting, if you need as few polygons as possible, there's also cleanup work where you can create triangles. Now we're not going to go that far when we, because we're not going to bring it into a game engine. But if you were, you would want to make sure that you have this really optimized. And the only way to do that is to weld edges So I'll give you a kind of a, and I'm going to ask, in fact, I don't want you to do this, but I'm going to show you how to clean this up so you have the fewest polygons possible for a game engine. Since we're going to render it in Maya, we're not too worried about making sure that we have the fewest polygons possible, because Maya will render pretty much anything. But I just wanted to show you so you feel comfortable if you do need to do that sometime. All right, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key and right click and go to Target Weld Tool. The Target Weld Tool is a really cool tool. So what you're going to do is we're going to be collapsing, okay? So I'm going to click on this and move it to that one, click on this and move it to that one. And you can see now we're kind of optimizing our polygons, okay? And you can see how that would look to bring it in game, okay? And to optimize your files. And you do need to know this and maybe practice it, but I do not need you to do this for obvious reasons. We're going to be rendering it in Maya, and you can see that instead of going this way, I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. Merging these vertices, welding these vertices over to give us the fewest possible polygons. And I'll prove to you that we're quite a bit less than we were before. Okay, let me get the rest of these. Shouldn't take too long to optimize and clean up the polygons here. Just bear with me. And if you want to just watch me, that's fine. I'm going to take these two over here and these two over here. There we go. All right, that is totally optimized. It's about as optimized as you can get. And then hit the Q key. So this is 71. And this is 40 with just one window. And so if I have one window, you know 2 windows was 80, okay? So one window is 40, this window was 80, and so we're down to 71, okay? Now it doesn't seem like a lot, and in most game engines can handle that no problem, even at 80. So if you got to optimize 100%, then that's how you do it. Now I don't want to do that, so I'm going to Control Z back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but anyway, let's see if I can do that. Yeah, no problem. All right, so that's what I want you to turn in. This is fine, okay? They're both really good. I mean, as far as low poly, they're plenty low poly. This is all good stuff. So that's our scene.